له وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. We continue in Buloogh Al-Maraam by the great illustrious Imam Al-Hafiz Ahmed bin Ali ibn Shihab Ahmed bin Ali ibn Hajar Al-Asqalani rahimahullah المتوفى سنة 852. The great Imam, the illustrious Al-Hafiz Ahmed bin Ali ibn Hajar Al-Asqalani rahimahullah, who died 852 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. We continue in this treatise entitled Buloogh Al-Maraam, or as they translated, obtaining the objective. Buloogh Al-Maraam, obtaining the objective. And we continue in Kitab al-Nikah, 3:14 p.m. Sunday, December the 9th, 2018, or the year 2018, which agrees with the 30th of Rabi' al-Awwal, the year after the Hijrah, 1440, after the Hijrah, after the migration of Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. As we continue Kitab al-Nikah, we're discussing the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. And if everyone would turn to their books, and this is the hadith and narration we were discussing. That the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he said, "Inna sharra an-nas 'inda Allah manzilatan yawm al-qiyamah, الرجل يفضي إلى امرأته وتفضي إليه ثم ينشر سرها." أخرجه Muslim. As we discuss in the hadith on the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the most evil of people with Allah in level or status or degree on the day of resurrection is a man that he commits what they call ifda, yufdi in imra'ateh. They translate it, I think, in everyone's book as intimacy maybe. But it's a little bit more comprehensive than that, as we'll talk about in a minute. We'll re-emphasize what we discussed from last class. It says also she's intimate with him, and then he spreads her secret. Firstly, we discussed about the hadith of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, and we discussed about the certain benefits which is extracted from the narration, which is a lot. And also we also gave an example of how the general ruling is made, and then there could be exceptions to it. That there could be a general ruling, and then there can be exception to the ruling, depending on the circumstance of the affair, depending on the circumstance. Firstly, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the most evilest of people with Allah in level or degree on the day of resurrection. As we know, there are different people who the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam had talked about who will be from the evilest of people with Allah on the day of resurrection, more than just this narration. Then the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam gave different types of people. The Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam also instilled in us the belief that there is going to be a day of recompense. That there will be a day where everyone will repay or be repaid for what they did in this world and what they have done. And every second of our lives counts, as a lot of us don't take advantage of our time. And everything that we do, even in this present moment, in the split second, right now, has all been recorded and is all being accounted for. And we're going to be responsible for how we spend our time. So everything that we're doing right now is all going to be the affair or how our state will be on the day of resurrection, depending on what we're doing in this split second. For verily the most evilest of people on the day of resurrection with Allah is a man that says he's intimate with his wife. Well, it says a man. Even though you'll find that Ahl Ilm say that the Messenger of Allah used the word man, but what's intended is a zawj. What's intended is the husband. What's intended is a husband. What's not intended is a general man being intimate with a woman generally, with her having a relationship outside marriage. That's not what's intended. But the message of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam was intended a marriage, which is ultimately what is understood from the narration is that a man is intimate, meaning a husband is intimate with his wife. A man is intimate with his wife. Also can be applied and understood for concubine, likewise. What the white with his right hand possesses if there was a legislated war or what have you. But what's understood right now of what's the situation at hand here in this context is that a man is intimate with his wife and a wife is intimate with her husband. Intimacy takes place between them. Also, what's extracted from the hadith is likewise not just mere intimacy taking place, but also what one sees of him or her, his or her spouse, of things, of blemishes on their bodies that they would not like to be disclosed to anyone. That's also part of the secret. So people think that it's just intimacy. That's not what's intended here. Only. What's intended also is certain things that only the husband sees from the wife and the wife sees from the husband. That, for example, of things of privacy on one's body. That a woman or a man would not like to be disclosed or revealed to anyone. So you'll find that Ahl Ilm, that they say that the word al-ifda', or they call that a man is intimate, what they call ifda', but ifda' here in the Arabic language we know means to lead to, for lack of better words linguistically, to what leads to. But what's understood in the context here is that a man, it says yufdi, meaning that he's intimate with his wife, or he performs with his wife. So some of Ahl Ilm say that which is intended here is actual intimacy, meaning sex itself. It is intimacy. Other than them say that also what is intended is just mere khalwa. Khalwa meaning them being alone with each other, even if intimacy does not take place. Meaning of what a man might say, for example, and I think everyone knows what couples discuss and what they say as far as what they may say of words of what shows like they're playing around as far as in regards to what's in the boundaries of Allah, of little words that's explicit, that takes place between two couples. That's also from the privacy. That's only supposed to stay indoors amongst the spouses. So it's not just intimacy itself, but also the speech that leads to it, or the speech that takes place, or certain things upon one's body that's also private, that one does not want to be revealed to anyone. And this is all part of protecting his and his wife or husband's honor. So one does not say, for example, we get inside the details of what's not supposed to be discussed in light of what is mentioned in this hadith. This particular hadith also increases our iman to show how the religion of Islam is complete. How the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam instills fear in the hearts of the believers to abstain from doing this based upon the fact of one coming on the day of resurrection being from the most evilest of people. And we know that the day of resurrection is a day of horror and fright, and it's a day that is terrifying in the most unimaginable way, unimaginable way that cannot even be fathomed by the mind. No one can imagine how the sun will be brought close to our faces, right in front of our faces. No one can imagine how that will happen, and the Messenger of Allah said it will happen, and that's part of what will take place on the day of resurrection. How the sun will be joined with the moon, and at one point of the day of resurrection, there the sun will be brought close. As one narration says, what was understood, close to the face. Some narrations say they'll only be 1 mile away. All the different horrors and frights will take place on the day of resurrection, where angels, nasallahu ya'afinu iyakum, will be dragging certain people and throwing them into hell. The angels will be dragging when Allah commands certain people to be dragged on their faces, some being dragged on their nostrils, and being thrown and cast into hellfire. All the different narrations that the Messenger of Allah explained, he wanted to instill fear in us by this narration. So he used the day of resurrection as a means, as a deterrent for us to abstain from doing certain acts and preservation for the honor of who we're supposed to honor from the creation, who deserve respect and honor and reverence. And at the head of the list is our spouses. And from dishonoring them and disgracing their honor and disgracing them is spreading secrets that take place in the bedroom. That's private. And you'll find that men and women do this. And in our communities, they'll say, you know, my wife, he'll do it not in a manner to remove or change the situation at hand, but in order to dishonor her, or for her to dishonor him, or to make him look as if his affair or his matter is very, very what? Humiliating, or in a manner that's what they say, condescending. They want to humiliate her husband, or he humiliates her by saying, man, you should see what I see in the bed when I'm in the bed with her. I got to look at this jiggly stomach, or I have to look at these jiggly legs, or I have to look at these wobbling legs, or I have to look at them varicose veins, or I have to look at the cellulite. All those affairs is not supposed to be disclosed to anyone. Those affairs are private. They're not supposed to be revealed, and we're not supposed to disgrace our families in this manner. And if that's the case, then you do not need to be married with her to the point where you have to talk about her in this manner. It's not an affair that is funny. It is an affair that's disgraceful because, number one, you're married to her. So why would you be humiliating her in this manner? And likewise, similar to that, also likewise, women do the same thing with their husbands. They'll probably try to talk to their girlfriends and doing some, as they say, girl talk. Or as they say these days and times, what's the tea? Or what have you. And they'll talk about their bashing their spouses with another woman. And the intent is not to remove the harm or try to change it. And if that was, it would be taken to the proper sources, number one. For the people of knowledge who can actually give some beneficial advice to help change the situation. Rather than just doing it in order to what? To disgrace his honor. They'll say, for example, oh girl, he can't even get it up. Oh, my husband, he has these nipples. I just can't stand to even look at it. He wanted to be intimate with me last night, and I was like, ugh. To the end of all the different types of things that take place in our communities, which is impermissible. So it's not only just pertaining to just mere intimacy. It's also in regards to seeing certain things in our spouse's bodies that are private, that we do not want disclosed, or any type of blemishes that we do not want disclosed to anyone, which is part of preservation of the honor and respect and reverence to to people who we love and our families. طيب. So in the message of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said he used the day of resurrection to instill horror and fright on the day of resurrection by saying the most evilest of people in level and degree with Allah on the day of resurrection. So, from the benefits of that is everyone? The establishment of the day of resurrection. That there will be a day of reckoning, and there will be a day for accountability and repayment for what one has done in this world, based upon what they believed and what they embraced as a belief or a conviction, and what came as a result of it, of either evil actions or corruptive actions, based upon one's belief, and if their belief is sound, as we know, if it was according to what Allah has revealed and he embraced that, then, inshallah, we know that the result of it will be righteous actions. So the message of Allah is as if he's saying, for those who believe that there will be a reckoning or account, from the most evilest affairs that one would commit with Allah, if you believe in this, and he's saying this because this is the haqq, this is the truth, and those who believe in it, that to stay away from this act, whereas one will be intimate with his wife, or a wife will be intimate, and like we just said, the meaning here is not just restricted to intimacy. It also means of anything private, even speech that takes place between the two spouses, when they're alone with each other. The private speech or the intimate speech or things which are physical blemishes on each one's body should not be disclosed and revealed. All those things are private, and if one wants to discuss them, he needs to take him or her needs to take it to the proper channels to have it discussed in order to remove a harm, if there's a harm that's taking place between them. So it says, sisters or people that are listening, so we said number one, that the meaning of the hadith is comprehensive for both intimacy itself or khalwa, what's being alone with each other, what takes place of speech and different things which are revealed to each other physically. He says, وَقَوْلُهُ إِلَمْرَأَتِهِ, meaning that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said that all these affairs are supposed to be what? Secret. Not supposed to be disclosed to the common folk. He said even in the certain instances of even the father and the mother especially. I'm sure that no one wants to discuss with their own parents of making mockery of their spouse. Making mockery of their spouse. That's even more what? High in its unlawfulness. طيب. So from the benefits of the hadith is number one, and this is what even Ibn Uthaymeen that he mentioned in this regard. He said, في هذا الحديث فوائد. أولا تحريم هذا العمل أن ينشر الإنسان السر الذي بينه وبين زوجته مثل أن يقول جامعتها على صفة كذا أو لما جامعتها صاحت. Listen to this. And this is not my speech. This is the speech of the great Imam Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen. So no one would say AbdurRazzaaq is vulgar, AbdurRazzaaq is obscene. This is the great Imam saying this. Listen to what he says. He says the impermissibility of this action, that a man would spread the secret which is between him and his wife. And he gives examples. Listen to what the great Imam says. For example, he says, I had sex with her like this. Or when I had sex with her, she started screaming. Or anything similar to that. He says anything similar to that in which people are shy from mentioning it. So this shows the hadith is what? Indicating its impermissibility. And also, keep in mind that he goes on to say, يَدُلُّ عَلَىٰ أَنَّهَا مِنَ الْكَبَائِرِ. It's also, rather it's an indication that it is from the major sins. It is from the major sins. Of what is a warning, and it's not an exception from it, except, so now, even though, do you see him, he gives the exception. He says, إِلَّا مَا دَعَتَ الْحَاجَ إِلَيْهِ لِبَيَانِ حُكْمٍ شَرْعِي. He said, there's no exception to it except if the necessity calls to it for clarifying an Islamic ruling. For example, just as we'll discuss, and it's going to come inshallah, when a man asks about the permissibility of asking the Messenger of Allah to withdraw. He said, بِحَضْرَةِ عَائِشَةَ عَنِ الرَّجُلِ يُجَامِعُ زَوْجَتَهُ ثُمَّ يَكْسِلُ. He said, for example, for asking or clarifying a legislative ruling in Islam or in the religion. When the Messenger of Allah was asked, while Aisha was present, about a man, he's intimate with his wife, then he withdraws. And then the Messenger of Allah clarified it. He clarified what was the ruling in regards to that. Or, as we talked about last week, the exception to the general ruling, if a woman is being oppressed or a man is being oppressed. If a woman is being oppressed or a man is being oppressed. For example, and I gave examples of this. For example, let's just say a woman came to a person of knowledge, as she said, or she came to the Islamic ruler, or came to the judge in an Islamic country at a court, and started to put forth her shakwa, as they say, meaning her complaint. And she, for example, she says to the hakim, to the judge, my husband hasn't been intimate with me within 8 months. That's not backbiting. That's a harm. So she's being oppressed. And she wants something to be done about it. She's trying to fear her Lord, and she knows that this type of manner will lead her to sin. So she goes to the Islamic ruler or the judge and complains. They say, listen, my husband hasn't touched me in 8 months. Let's just say 5 months. Let's just say 4 or 5 months, my husband hasn't touched me. And she wants this to be removed. And so that this ruling does not apply to her, as we said last week, because she's being oppressed. Or, for example, she comes to the husband, or comes to someone of knowledge, or comes to the judge or the ruler, or comes to the person of the masjid and asks him. For example, even some of the brothers that will come and ask me certain private questions about their wives, but he's asking it in order to do something about it, not in order to make mockery of her. So he's asking advice, and he says, what do I do? For example, certain couples have came to me and said to me, I do not love my wife anymore. What do I do? Or I'm having a problem with an odor with my wife. What do I do? How do I change it? So those things are not making mockery of her. He's trying to get and find a solution to the problem, to have it removed. So that's not applicable here. So what's applicable here is just saying it how some people do. They think it's a joke, or they think it's funny, or they think it's this, or they doing it out of mockery, or they doing it to joke or jest, and they think it's just, oh, my wife, she got this type of, that's what the hadith is applicable for. Or they might be upset, so they want to just be spiteful. That's what's applicable for here. I just want to be spiteful. So I'm mad. So I'm going to now dishonor my spouse. So I go to a group of people and just start revealing my secrets, what takes place between him and her, or her and him, in the bedroom, to make mockery. All these affairs are unlawful. But like we said, the exception to the rule is if he or she is being oppressed, and they have a harm taking place, and they want to do something about it, but they don't know what to do. Or they want the harm to be removed, or they want advice, but they go to the proper channels for proper advice. Do not just pick any Joe Blow or whoever it is in the street. No, you go to a person of knowledge and ask them and consult them. Like I said, I have seen and I've heard a lot of private things from a lot of people over my time that I've spent in dawah. And I've kept everyone's privacy maintained and protected in order to give them the proper advice in order to solve their problems. So if they was to disclose that to the people of knowledge, and I'm not from them, of course, I'm just advice, but those from the students of knowledge or those from the ulama, and they disclose something that is private to have the harm removed, this hadith is not applying to them. It's not applying to them. Because they're trying to have an oppression that's removed. And like we talked about and said, that is in regards to backbiting. We said backbiting is a major sin, but there's an exception to it in those 6 instances that we said last week, and we said it's all been gathered in the poetry, where the poet says, الغيبة ليس بقدح في ستة متظلم ومعرف ومحذر ومجاهد فسقا ومستفت ومن طلب الإعادة في إزالة منكر. As we said, the 6 exceptions where it's not backbiting, where it becomes actual nasiha or advice. And from them is mutadhallim. Mutadhallim means the one who's placing a shakwa. He's putting forth a complaint because he or she is being oppressed. We gave 6 instances and we mentioned them last week. So we asked the people to go back to the recording and revise it, inshallah, so we can continue with the lesson. طيب. When the Messenger of Allah said in the hadith, it says that the man spreads her secret. The man spreads her secret. If you look in your book, it says, ثُمَّ يَنْشُرُ سِرَّهَا. He spreads her secret. He spreads her secret. Is the woman also applied to, does she apply to also this ruling, or she is coming upon her to apply this? Yes. So it's not just for the man that he protects her secret. Also, the woman has been obliged to protect the honor and not spread the secret of her husband. Except in those exceptions that we just granted or we spoke about. Except in those exceptions that we talked about and expressed and we elaborated on. Also, what's extracted from the hadith, if you look in your books, everyone, that notice in the beginning part of the hadith, what does it say? It said the most evilest the most evilest of people, was to let everyone know that there would be people that would come in degrees of not only just of evil, but also good. Meaning that the people of good are in levels, just like the people of evil are in what? Are in levels, both. So not everyone will be upon the same level, whether it be in the state of righteousness or the state of wretchedness. Everyone is on different levels. And the message of Allah, by this particular wording, he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, it shows that people of evil also will be of levels. Does the question I want to ask everyone, does it show now how people are more virtuous than others as far as in faith? We say yes. Meaning that certain people are high in faith and strong, and they will have a greater reward than those who are less than that. This hadith can also be what? Utilized, or can be used as an argument, a proof for this matter. For this matter, what we're discussing now. That even though a person have faith, it can still be in a state where it's less, or it's weak, or incomplete. Because the message of Allah said he was talking about a major sin, but not removing them from the affair, or removing them from the state of Iman. He's not removing them, but he's saying how their faith is incomplete. That there will be people who's of faith, but their faith is either rendered weak or incomplete based upon these type of affairs or crimes or sins that they committed. So it shows that not everyone will be on one level, even in the affair of faith, as far as Iman. So this is a clear indication of what Ahlul Sunnah believes. What they call at-tafadul fil iman, that people are on different levels and different degrees in faith. And that is what Ahlul Sunnah and the people who are Salafi believe. That faith increases and decreases based upon righteous actions and based upon what? Evil. And righteous actions will increase them in their level of faith and their strength in it and their stability in it. Just as likewise, the opposite effect of sins and evil will decrease it and render it weak and render it to a point where it will be what? Very defective. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve us from that. So also from the fawaid of the hadith, we already established that and said that what's extracted from it is the day of resurrection. So the message of Allah also gave emphasis in this hadith of the day of resurrection, which will be the life which will come after the life of the grave. So it's not only a life where a person what? Lives and then he dies and that's it. We believe that there will be what? There's a life in this world, and then you have the middle life, as they call it, Hayatul Barzakh, what they call Al-Hayatul Barzakhiyah. Barzakh is like a state between life and the everlasting life. So they call it Al-Hayat Al-Barzakhiyah. That life is the life in the grave. That life is the life in the grave. Because the affair of the life in the grave is another type of life, in which we just described in last class, that either the life of the grave is just as the Imam Ahmed described it, and when he said that the life of the grave, or the grave, is either a garden from the garden of paradise, or it's a pit from the pit of hell. May Allah Ta'ala make our graves a garden from the gardens of paradise. And he talked about that the people who are that will receive the garden of the gardens of paradise is Ahlul Sunnah. Ahlul Sunnah, and the people of Tawheed, and the people of Sunnah, it's those who work and act upon, of course. Inshallah, if they die in that good state, that there will be a garden from the garden of paradise for them. Then after that life, when people are resurrected, then there comes the ultimate, inevitable, everlasting life, which is the day of resurrection. So we move on to the next hadith. There's more details, but I think we'll keep it concise because we got to keep moving. The next hadith, if everyone looks in their books, it says on the authority of Hakim ibn Muawiyah, عن أبيه رضي الله تعالى عنه قال قلت يا رسول الله ما حق زوج أحدنا عليه قال تطعمها إذا أكلت وتكسوها إذا اكتسيت ولا تضرب الوجه ولا تقبح ولا تهجر إلا في البيت. رواه أحمد وأبو داود والنسائي وابن ماجه، وعلق البخاري بعضه وصححه ابن حبان والحاكم. The authority of Hakim ibn Muawiyah upon his father, that the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wassalam, he said, قلت, O Messenger of Allah, what is the right of the spouse of one of us upon us? Meaning the spouse of one of us upon us. Or upon him or her, excuse me. Meaning, what is our rights between each other that we're supposed to give to her? قال, he said that you feed her if you eat, meaning you feed what you feed yourself. That you clothe her or what you clothe yourself. And do not strike the face. Do not uglify it. And do not migrate or make any type of hajr, boycotting her, except in the house. Except in the house. So the message of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, which shows how our religion, walillahi alhamdu wal minna, is complete. So we don't sing songs that makes us feel good. Rather, we have detailed ways of how to live that teaches us. But not giving or having some type of, as they call, emotional, or what they call, listening to some type of motivational speaker who makes you feel good temporarily, and sing some songs to pass by or bury your pain temporarily, but still not knowing the proper detail of how to live. That's only in Kitab and Sunnah. So the message of Allah and this great revelation that Allah has revealed is giving details, insight, in-depth details of how to live. And you see this in all these different authentic texts. So another authentic text that the Messenger of Allah gave of how to treat our spouses and what our rights upon us as men towards our spouses, meaning the wives. He said, قُلْتُ, O Messenger of Allah, he said, firstly, that you feed her from what you feed yourself, or if you was to eat, meaning what you feed yourself. And you clothe her if she was to what? If you was to clothe yourself, to the end of the hadith. First of all, number one, Hakim, if you look in your hadith, it says on the authority of Hakim. Hakim was a tabi'i. He was a tabi'i. He wasn't a sahabi. Hakim was a tabi'i. Muawiyah here is not the Muawiyah that we know, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. No, this is Muawiyah ibn Hayda. It's another sahabi. His name was Muawiyah ibn Hayda. Muawiyah ibn Hayda. He was a sahabi. He was a companion. His father was the great companion Bahz. Bahzai. Bahz. Hold on. Where does he put the here? يا معاوية حيد الصحابي وابنه حكيم وبهز حفيده. I'm sorry, everyone. It's the opposite. I forgot Behz was in this, so I switched it up. I'm sorry, everyone. But Muawiyah, I was right about Muawiyah. Alhamdulillah, I was all right. You have another, who's the grandchild. He's the grandchild. I switched it up. Behz is, Hakim was a tabi'i. I was right. Muawiyah was a sahabi. Behz was the grandfather. It was the grandson. So put him in the front of the chain after Hakim. He's the start. He starts off. So put it like this: Behz ibn Hakim ibn Muawiyah, like that. So put it in the front. Bahz ibn Hakim ibn Muawiyah. There's another narration that says when he thought Amr ibn Shu'ayb an abihi an jaddah, the famous isnad upon Amr ibn Shu'ayb, upon his father, upon his grandfather. He says that it was a similar question asked to the Messenger of Allah, similar to what we mentioned, or what was asked here in this narration. It's basically the same. But, however, what's different here in this other chains is that Bahz was actually mentioned in the front of the chain, meaning before Hakim, of what you just written. So both is correct. You can say it's on how it's written in your book, upon Hakim, upon Muawiyah, upon the father, or there's another chain that you put Bahz in front of Hakim and read it as, for example, Bahz upon Hakim, upon Muawiyah, upon his father. So both are correct. You could do it like that or either which one. So both of them are correct. I got thrown off by that page. The page threw me off. طيب. So in the message of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, that he said that you feed her if you was to feed yourself, or if you was to eat. When the message of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, when he said this, he was telling the rights of the man that is obligatory upon him. That he's supposed to feed her of what? Of course, what is in his means, of what he's able, as much as he's able. And he does not oppress her in this regard, whereas now he would try to impose upon her something that she would detest, of course. Maybe it might be in his way of eating, but then he forces that by saying, for example, well, this is what I eat, so you eat this. Because you'll find there are some men that are like that. And that's not the case. And that's not the meaning of the hadith. Feeding her, meaning of what you're responsible of feeding her, of course, of what will cause and not go beyond being overburdening upon the man. But it does not mean exactly that she has to eat exactly what you eat. It's not the meaning of the hadith. And some men would understand that and think that. But that's not the case. Meaning that he does, of course, does not go to the point where he overburdens, or when things get wasted, or what have you, or he starts to overburden himself and it goes beyond certain affairs and go beyond bounds, that which he's not able to what? To tolerate. But however, the hadith is what? Pertaining to what he's able, or what is in his means, of course. And that's from the meaning of the ayah where Allah Ta'ala says in Surah At-Talaq, ayah number 7. The ayah, or the surah of divorce, ayah number 7. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, it's number 6 and number 7, both, where it says, أَسْكِنُوهُنَّ مِنْ حَيْثُ سَكَنْتُمْ مِنْ وُجْدِكُمْ لِيُنْفِقْ ذُو سَعَةٍ مِنْ سَعَتِهِ وَمَنْ قُدِرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقُهُ فَلْيُنْفِقْ مِمَّا آتَاهُ اللَّهُ لَا يُكَلِّفُ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا إِلَّا مَا آتَاهَا. He says, allow her to live where you live, from where you are. And also let one who has the means to spend from his spendings. And whoever's provisions have been restricted and are tight, meaning he doesn't have much. He said, then let him spend of what Allah has given him. And Allah does not burden the soul beyond its capacity. Or Allah does not burden the scope, except what has come to it. Meaning Allah Ta'ala will give everyone and test them with what they can tolerate. Of what will not be a beyond, or a scope will be beyond or oppressive to oneself. For verily, if he's to want now to feed her, he feeds her, of course, of what will be middle course, and of course what would be what they call yaliq bihaliha. That which is in regards to what is la'iq bihaliha, meaning what was suitable for her situation, of course. And it's not exactly what he eats that she has to eat it. Meaning if I eat beans and rice all day, that means she has to eat beans and rice all day. No. Meaning, of course, what is suitable for her what? Situation. Of what she eats. That he gives and he provides that for her. Now listen to it even with the great Imam, even Sheikh Salih Fawzan mentioned in this regard. He said, فَإِذَا أَطْعَمَهَا مِمَّا يَطْعَمْ فَهَذَا هُوَ الْعَدْلِ أما أن يأكل شيئا ويعطيها شيء دونه هذا ظلم يخصه نفسه بأكل الطيبات وما تشتهيه الأنفس ويحرمها ولا يجيء لها إلا بطعام يسير وبطعام أقل مما يأكله هو فهذا من الظلم بل يساويها بنفسه هذا هو العدل هذه واحدة. That's one thing he says. So this, now I want everyone to listen to this, because some men, they think, oh, you know, I do give her I do feed her. I give her what's in my means. I give her some beans and rice. She need to be quiet and shut up. Listen to this. He says, as for him now, eating something, then he gives something, of course, what is less, no doubt that that's oppression. Or if he particularizes himself by eating certain affairs, or let's just say now, she might desire and he now what? He might deprive her of it. Or he might not give her in a matter of what she likes. Or he might like it, but let's just say for now I don't eat that. So he said, well, you're not going to eat then. What I'm going to do for you? Where now she either has a little bit where she's deprived, or in a manner that is food that is less of what he eats. All of this is oppression. بَلْ يُسَاوِيهَا بِنَفْسِهِ. Rather, it's incumbent upon him to what? Be equitable and be equal and just of what? In that matter. And that is adl. That's one point. So that's one thing. So in everything of what he's able, of course, is to feed. But now we live in a society, now we live in a matter which the men depend on the woman to feed him. Now what is in regards to that? And that's what we keep now emphasizing to our brothers, to be grateful for the help of our women, what they give of contributions. Where these affairs are not obligatory upon her to give you and feed you from what she receives or what she has. It's not an obligation upon the woman to feed her husband. It's the opposite. And I'm saying this in order to give the reality to our brothers, because it seems like we live in days and times that everybody likes to sweep their pain under the rug. That everyone just shut up, suck it up, this is what's going on, keep it hush-hush, this is what we do to our families, be quiet. As we know, the Prophet ﷺ spoke out against everything that was displeasing to Allah. He did not hide nothing. And those who are the du'at, the callers, and the ulama speak out against what is oppression and what is displeasing to Allah without concealing anything. The origin is that the man is supposed to provide for the woman. The woman does not have to provide for the man. That is the origin. We know that's established. The reason why I keep emphasizing this is for men to be grateful to sisters or women when they help you. Not to say we're not telling the women don't help. So don't want anyone to get the wrong message. That I'm saying women don't help the men. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this in order to emphasize to our brothers to be more grateful and to treat them with more respect, because they're helping you in a manner that's not an obligation upon them initially. To be grateful, that's all. And to have more patience. Because this is not their job. But they're doing it out of necessity because they know of the circumstances that are taking place in our communities. So they got to do it. So now they got to go out of their nature of being a woman in order to help maintain stability in their families, which is terrible. But however, it's the circumstances, and this is the situation at hand, in which to let our brothers to be more grateful. That's all. But I'm laying the ahkam where Allah has made it clear in His book that these obligations, these affairs are upon the men, not the women. And it shows also a refutation against those who speak against Islam to say how this religion is oppressive to women. It's not oppressive to women. Rather, your system oppresses women. And it's being exploited every day. How the system is pathetic and it doesn't what? It doesn't work. All the rape cases and all the humiliating and filthy things we see on the internet, which is destroying society right now. So what we're trying to say is, even you see how Islam honors a woman, that these obligations or these affairs is upon a man. That the woman does not have to what? She does not have to carry out these affairs. But society now has been made and geared towards, in order to have a stable household, that we have to now have received help from both ends, whether it be from the end of the husband or what? From the wife also contributing and putting something to the table. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So that's the reason why we're trying to discuss these matters, when we don't want to hush to say, well, this is the religion. Yes, it is. But we have to now try to relieve our people and the pressures upon us, because we live in a society where it's a bunch of pressure. It's a bunch of pressure, and as we know, pressure inevitably will bust pipes. It will break pipes, and people will lose it. And that's what we see happening every day. To the point, like I said, I feel the pain of a lot of people. And I feel it, and I see it, and I listen to it all day long. To the point where sometimes I feel like I want to turn my phone off for about 2 weeks straight, so I can get a peace of mind from hearing all the negativity I hear from different aspects and different people and different things. Because sometimes negativity, it'll start to affect you, and you don't want to have it affect you. So that's the reason why we say it's incumbent upon us to take the pressure off of each other, to remove the pressure from each other to the best of our ability. And to have, if we know we have a good spouse, and how do we know we have a good spouse? We know we have a good spouse when we see them bringing the good out of each other and enhancing our good qualities in ourselves, not bringing the evil qualities out of ourselves. And like I talked about, and I'll say this in the lectures to come, we lose the sight and the goal of marriage. The goal and the sight of marriage is not only from certain aspects, which is in our minds. We think that marriage is just for us to basically be intimate and to have kids, and that's it. Or alhamdulillah, we have sex, we be intimate, and we build families. That's it. No, that's not just it. The origin and the foundations, brothers and sisters, is that we marry each other to make each other better people, to bring the best out of each other, to enhance the good qualities we have with each other, and to get rid of the evil, satanic ways we got about each other. If you see that individual from your spouse is bringing that side out of you, keep him or keep her. If you see that they're bringing a side out of you that you're trying to rid yourself of before you meet Allah, get rid of him then. And get rid of her. If you see that they're bringing that evil side out of you, that they bring in that side where you're starting to use vulgar language, and you're starting to scream in front of your kids, and you're starting to use language that you never seen, you found yourself using until you met them, you need to get rid of them. It's time to go. That's the problem with a lot of us. We hold on to things that we're not supposed to hold on to it. We're patient with things where we shouldn't be patient with. Then we're impatient with things we should be patient with. And we're impatient with people we should have our patience with. And that's what I told myself. Even my wife said this to me. She's asked me this a couple of days ago. If you was AbdurRazzaaq now, and I'm 41, and you was to talk to AbdurRazzaaq when you was 20, who and what would you say to him? I said, this is the first thing that came to my mind. That if I was able to speak to myself 20 years ago or 21 years ago, I would say to him, do not be patient with things that you should not be patient with. And you should be patient with people that truly deserve your patience. Not to tolerate things that are intolerable and hold on to it until it leaves you bitter As we live in days and times, it seems like we love people that abuse us. And we hold on for years and years and years until now, after everything is worn out and the bridges are burnt, you become bitter. Where you shouldn't have tolerated it in the first place. If you've seen a man, he hasn't had a job in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6 years, sister, you should have let him go years ago. That's something that's not to be tolerated to the point where you became bitter. Similar to the man, if you see that this woman, she's bringing the evil out of you and you met her, now you're starting to use profanity and she's starting to bring this evil side out of you that you knew that you never used to have. Before you met this woman, you should have let her go. Oh, I'm holding on to her. I just love her. Why do you love a woman that bring the evil out of you? I'm asking. And I used to ask brothers that. Why do you want to hold on to a woman that's abusing you? Why do you want to hold on to a woman that's bringing evil side, satanic side out of you? Why would you want to hold on to that? Then you find that you had a woman that showed you respect, showed you love, enhanced the good qualities. Oh, man, she weak. What's wrong with her? Same thing with the sisters, too. Same thing. Brother that was calm, talked to you respectfully. First thing she say, man, what's wrong with you? You mean what's wrong with me? Sister, I don't like to curse. I don't like to raise my voice. I don't like to do that. What's wrong with you? Dang, sister, you that much used to abuse? So if now when you found something good, you don't know what to do with it. You don't even know how to act now. Issues after issues after issues. That's what I mean that when I say that back, if I was able to talk to myself younger, I wouldn't have been so tolerant with things that shouldn't have been tolerated. And I would have been patient, and I would have been patient with people and things that should have been more patient with. That those who deserve to have more patience with. These are the things we stress into our community and stress into our people. We say to meaning the Muslims. So that's the reason why these type of affairs are very important for us to what? Put everything in its proper place. Because once you put everything in its proper place, then you'll start to see progress. But it all starts with the families and the treatment of them and the treatment of the spouses. So the message of Allah ﷺ clearly mentioned and said that these obligations are binding upon the man, not upon the woman. It's clear. It's clear as the sun in the sky. His brothers read in the book. You don't even have to listen to AbdurRazzaaq. Don't listen. And if you don't have respect for the ulama, look past the ulama too. Look to the text itself. The message of Allah says, you what? Feed her what you feed yourself. So let you know that the obligation is what? It's upon the man. Not upon you to say, well, you got food stamps. You have public assistance. Why can't you buy it? As a man, that's humiliating. As a man, he's humiliating. If a woman truly identifies, and this is another problem, if she knows you're a good person, and she knows you're doing the best you can, she's going to automatically help you regardless, without you asking. Because she sees that you're doing the best you can. But keep in mind of being grateful, brothers, that what? Our sisters that are burdening themselves, who the point where I hear now the complaints is to the level where a lot of women don't even want to be married anymore. And I know a lot of women in our communities that don't want to be married anymore. And I've heard the stories all the time. And I hear of don't think, sisters, that I don't know what's going on. I know what's going on. I hear it. I even asked my wife, is this, and I talked about the hadith of Zara that I know that the brothers probably don't want it to get around of the talk I did yesterday because it was on the internet. Sweep down to the rug. But what I'm saying is, that hadith puts a perspective of how women feel. The 11 women that talked about their husbands. Yes, read that hadith, and I'll probably give a lecture on it, of how women truly feel about their husbands. And that was during the time of the message of Allah, how they described their husbands, and how a lot of them were miserable because of how their husbands treated them. And a couple of them were happy, based upon the qualities of their husbands. But a lot of them were describing their husbands, of how their treatment of them, but however, they were just enduring it for different reasons. Because I got kids, or I got ties. I'm not really happy, but This is what I got to endure. I'm afraid I'm going to be alone. They even mentioned this. So a lot of people think, oh, damn, nobody knows our pain. The Kitab and Sunnah has everything, even your pain. The women have what? They even described back then how they felt. And it's exactly what's going on with women today. If you read the hadith of Zara, explains it all. You have women that said, basically, I'm only there because I got kids by them. I'm there because we got ties. I'm there because what do I do? If I was to leave, basically, where will I go? Same thing was going on right now. Same exact thing. Is there any difference? Same thing. To the point where even when I was reading the hadith to my wife, I was reading it to her the other night. We was reading it, we were studying together, and I was reading it to her. And she said to me, I said to my wife, I said, if I ever make you feel this way, let me know and I'm going to leave. Because I don't want you to be like this. This is humiliating from the aspect of a man. That my wife feel like this, that she's just with me because of certain things that has nothing to do with me making her happy. Because I would rather me not be in your life and you be happy than I stay and you be in this manner and in this state. This is humiliating for a man. That his wife is just there just to be there and not be truly happy. But at any rate, after I got that off my chest. But in regards to what we're saying in the hadith, if you listen to the hadith of the Messenger of Allah, alayhi salatu wasalam, he says clearly, brothers and sisters, what? That you, Abdullah, don't think I was singling you out, because he probably meant, dang, what'd I do? I'm sitting here all alone. Oh, Ar-Razzaaq, I ain't do nothing. Sitting in the corner like, I ain't do nothing, Sheikh. Please, go easy on me. But anyway, so it says in regards to what he says, now, feed her or what you feed. Oh, excuse me. Clothe her or what you clothe yourself. What time is it? Oh, we got to stop. We'll stop and continue next week, inshallah. I forgot it was this late because it's almost time for Maghrib. I got to make a run. We'll stop here, inshallah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Inshallah, I'm going to make a whole lecture, inshallah. Invite everyone.